What is up? This is the Mad Critic Report. And it's almost Halloween, and I was just like scrolling on YouTube as you do. And then something popped up that was very interesting. It said the horror film so real that the FBI investigated it. Right. To get your attention. Now it got my attention. So I was like, let's watch it. Like, hey, let's watch it together as a family. All my fellow critics out there, let's watch this. And who is it by? Let me see who is it by right quick. It's a little channel called Toni Films Club. Oh, go ahead and give them a subscribe, because we about to check out what the hell they talking about, because I'm very interested that a horror film got that. But all right, let's get started with the video.
In the 80s, I was obsessed with tracking down weird videos. Just weird videos and weird films we had seen. And one of the films that came to me was a movie called Guinea Pig. And I promptly made a copy of it. And the FBI said, you need to hand over the original tape.
That is Chris Gore, and the tape he's talking about contained a copy of a Japanese horror film from 1985. Back then, as the founder of the infamous Film Threat magazine, he was always on the lookout for the most obscure movies he could possibly find. And the way to do that was to tap into the somewhat underground world of VHS tape trading.
We were trading tapes with so many people, and then the thing is they would send me their weird tapes. That's how we did all of this.
Those tapes...
Wait, what? So wait. So back in the 80s, they used to like just trade weird tapes? What the hell were y'all doing in the 80s? See, this is why in the 90s, babies are cooler than the weirdos in the 80s. Who? What? Like, well, we have our problems, but come on. That's weird. Of course you was gonna get a snuff film or something weird from Japan. Come on, buddies.
Would often contain unauthorized copies of movies from all around the world that were either extremely difficult to find or straight up banned in some countries. The kind of stuff you couldn't just find in your local Blockbuster. And while...
Oh, so basically it's 4chan. So they were 4chan in the 80s. So we got a bunch of nerds swapping some weird content.
But the majority of the movies were just strange or bizarre, one of them felt different.
Huh. What is this based on?
There was no music, no more than a basic title graphic, and not even the standard practice of opening credits.
Alright, wait. I hate to be this guy, but his accent is ear fucking me to death. Like, I'm not liking your accent, Tony. And hey, like I said, go follow and like, because I am watching his react. But this is gonna be tough. How long is this video? It's a long video, but okay, let's fight through.
Felt like someone's private home video of a man observing strangers in front of a train station in Tokyo until he eventually sees a young lady and proceeds to stalk her, slowly driving his car behind her, and as soon as they get far away from the busy streets of the city, he chases her down and abducts her. The rest of the movie takes place in some creepy makeshift slaughterhouse, and since I cannot possibly show you what happens next, instead, I'll give you some context with, let's just say, dramatic reenactment.
Okay. Oh, it's so gory. Oh. Wait. So it was a snuff film.
Yeah. All of that happens, and it is shown in great detail with very intricate close-ups right in your face.
Pussy.
The point is, it looked real, so much so that people weren't entirely sure if it was actually fiction or something far more sinister. And one of those people was no other than the actor Charlie Sheen.
What?
There are a few different accounts of exactly how it happened, but what we know for a fact is that Charlie Sheen saw this movie.
Bro, you won't believe this. I just watched a documentary, like the Netflix documentary of Charlie Sheen, like just right now. So he was a wild boy. So of course Charlie Sheen had his hands on his snuff film, of course, and his Japanese.
And because of him, the FBI got involved.
Well, what happened was they took it very seriously.
I had all these videos confiscated. I had to be interviewed by the FBI
Jesus
about
Christ.
this
Video
video and
collection
where I
in the
obtained it.
80s.
The guy who gave me the video got, investigated, and it was weird. All I did was just make a copy of a tape and give it to Charlie Sheen.
They weren't the only ones either.
What?
Around the same time, a lawyer in Sweden had found that exact same movie and had also reported it to the police. And over in Britain, a man entering the country with a copy of it had gotten arrested and taken to court because of
Jesus
its possession.
Christ.
Clearly, everyone took this extremely seriously.
How did
And
everybody get this
looking back
tape?
at it now, you might think it's a little bit silly, right? I mean, supposedly it's just a movie. But the thing is that those concerns were not entirely unwarranted. In his 1971 book about Charles Manson, author Ed Sanders included an interview with a member of his cult who claimed that they had once videotaped a murder they've committed. It is one of the first uses of the term snuff film, or basically a movie which shows real violence. And while no such video involving Charles Manson had ever been found, the urban legends began to spread. With consumer cameras becoming more widely available back in the 70s, people began to speculate that the possibility of someone capturing the real stuff was constantly increasing. And in 1976, after reading an article about it, a marketing-savvy film producer took advantage. He filmed a completely new ending to an unreleased, low-budget movie he had the rights to, and in order to promote it, he hired fake protesters to demonstrate against it in theaters, and even reported it to the police himself. As soon as they saw it, people could easily tell it wasn't real.
Wait, that was low-key. Yo, that is genius. That is genius, Mark. Bro, I'm studying marketing. Bro, that is beautiful. Anti-marketing your product by wow. Whoever this guy is, genius. Genius.
But it did make a profit, and more importantly,
Of course.
it brought the idea of snuff into the mainstream. Now, that one was clearly a hoax, but many of the other films that followed continued to push the limits and blur the lines. In 1978, a pseudo-documentary called Faces of Death had featured a bunch of different ways to die. And while the majority of those were achieved with practical effects and makeup, there were some real ones too, that the filmmakers had taken from news archives and old war footage. Although it got banned in a number of countries and heavily censored, it grossed over $35 million, and in some cases, it showed people real death on the big screen.
Oh,
The
shit.
end of the beginning or the beginning of the end?
I'm sure I can
I'll
find
leave
it
that
on
decision
the internet.
to you.
Real gore and extreme graphic images were becoming a big debate in society, but the ethics of it were not necessarily the main concern for the authorities. For them, it was crucial to know about how that footage was obtained, because going back to Guinea Pig, the movie that Charlie Sheen had reported, it didn't just show a natural disaster or unfortunate accident, but a very premeditated and vicious crime.
Charlie was so shocked upon watching this film. He was so taken aback, he thought he had witnessed an actual murder.
By the time the FBI got involved, they quickly found out that the authorities
In fairness, Charlie Sheen was on a lot of drugs back in those days. So, I mean, go watch the documentary. I only watched one episode, but you get a feeling.
in Japan had also investigated, because a few years after its release, it got connected to a murder case that had completely shaken the country. In the late 80s, a 27-year-old man had taken the lives of 4 young girls in Tokyo in a way that I don't even want to describe. The police had found almost 6,000 videotapes in his room, and among the many slasher and snuff films was Guinea Pig. Because of how brutal his crimes were, there was a huge public outrage, and many blamed this kind of movies for encouraging and inspiring him, and as a result, the movie was taken off the shelves. So with all the controversy surrounding it and multiple investigations from all around the world, the main question remains: was it snuff or fiction?
All this hellish, unhealthy, violent activity, our kids are seeing this and thinking it's normal.
To find the answer, we need to go back to 1985. Around that time in Japan, the straight-to-video market had experienced a rapid growth. As a result of the increased popularity of VHS tapes that people could just buy directly, smaller filmmakers were able to produce low-budget movies with almost no censorship and significantly less restrictions compared to theatrical releases.
That's real
That
hard.
allowed directors to push the boundaries a lot, and considering that horror as a genre was already huge in Japan, they certainly did. So,
Yeah.
inspired by all this, a young producer would set on to create something that would
Oh,
push
he
the
looks
envelope
creepy.
even further. And just like that, the Guinea Pig series was born. The first one, Devil's Experiment, he directed himself, and a text in the beginning claimed that it is a real found footage. There were no credits, no title, and nothing that would break the illusion. All that was shown was basically someone being tortured for 40 minutes straight, and the whole shtick about it being authentic worked. The movie did really well on the VHS rental market, so naturally, it was time for part 2, the one that Charlie Sheen had seen, Flower of Flesh and Blood. For this one, however, he got the help of the prominent manga artist Hideshi Hino. Sometimes referred to as the king of horror manga, Hideshi Hino had built a reputation for his deeply unsettling, grotesque, and borderline terrifying images. This was going to be his very first movie as a director, an entirely new creative medium to him that he wanted to bring a certain level of artistry to. He wanted to elevate it, so instead of it just being straight up gore, he incorporated a tiny bit of narrative. Something that might have gotten lost in translation, because in the very beginning, he lays out the premise that a crazy fan of his horror manga had gotten inspired from it and committed this heinous crime, and had sent him a package with photos, videos, and a letter describing it in great detail. But it was
Oh, that is actually that's pretty good. Wow, I'm loving the marketing. I mean, we can use some of this marketing here. But you know, because of AI and all this stuff, it'd be hard to convince people, but yeah.
so graphic that he couldn't show it to us. So instead, what we're seeing is his own artistic interpretation. You can feel that there is a style in some of the editing, the colors, the cinematography, and even down to the over-the-top sound effects.
その後に何か見た人がだからただそれだけじゃないそれから先のね何かをこうイマジネーションしてくれれば面白いんじゃないかなと思うんですけどね。
As opposed to everyone else, Hideshi Hino had never claimed that what was shown was real, but he had done such a good job at making it look convincing that to some people, it was. A year later, the filmmakers released some behind-the-scenes footage and showed exactly how it was done.
Okay,
They've
that's
experimented
smart.
with different techniques, materials, wire work, practical effects, and have created over 50 different body parts until they got it just right. It is genuinely a really good showcase of practical effects, if you're into that kind of stuff, of course. The backlash surrounding it, though, had permanent consequences. In a 2009 interview with Vice, Hideshi Hino shared that because of everything that had happened, the production of his first feature film got cancelled, and it also affected his work as an artist.
Wow.
After talking to the police, he also claimed that what they had found in the serial killer's collection was not his, but a later installment in the Guinea Pig series. In the same interview with Vice, Hideshi Hino recalls a time in which a journalist asked a film critic if this sort of video is really necessary in the world, to which he replied, no, absolutely not. And it got me thinking. As I was researching the story, I kept asking myself, what is it exactly that draws us into this kind of extreme horror? On one hand, you have people who are very much against it, because they argue that it could give us the wrong ideas, and there are some cases that support that claim. Remember Faces of Death, the pseudo-documentary that showed people dying? Well, in 1986, a 14-year-old boy killed his classmate and claimed that he got the idea for it precisely because he saw that movie. Whether that is an isolated case or a real issue, I'm not smart enough to say. I'm sure someone will have a better answer than me.
We don't know the extent to which exposure to this kind of material results in actual violent behavior. What we do know is that exposure to this kind of material results in a more calloused person, a less sensitive person.
And on the other hand, people can argue that it's morbid curiosity.
That explains.
They know it's entertainment, they know it's special effects, they get together, they have little parties, they watch these movies, they have a good time. I don't think they're really seeing the undercurrents that a lot of paranoid parents are seeing. If the world would be a better place because there weren't horror films, so there weren't explicit stalk and slash films, and the world would be at peace, well, then burn all the negatives of every horror film ever made, if that's going to be kind of a guarantee, but it isn't.
It is us facing our own mortality. And to bring it full circle, here's a quote from Film Thread, the magazine from the beginning that sort of started this whole story, which says that it somehow makes us feel alive. We like feeling alive, and we like to feel like we're cheating death by watching movies like that.
Well, that was a very interesting watch. Now, I don't know if I agree with everything I heard in the video, but yeah, I expected some more. I did not expect Charlie. What Charlie Sheen? What you was not involved with? Because Charlie Sheen is there all the time, bro. I don't know. Charlie Sheen lived a life. Let's just say that man has lived a lot. Because how do you get a snuff, like back in that time, how do you just run into a snuff film? Like I don't know. And wow, this is the collection of tapes that people had back in those days. Man, the clutter. I mean, it did look like good decorations for like a room, but like the clutter would just drive me crazy to have a collection of tapes. Now I bet they're worthless now. I bet they're like garbage, dust collectors. But yeah, that was very interesting. It was a very tough listen. You know, no offense to the guy, but that was his tough listen. Tough. It was tough. It was tough on my ears. You know, my sensitive ears. It was a long video too, so I didn't want to make this video long, which, by the way, is long. So that is my 2 cents on it. I think horror movies we shouldn't blame horror movies for, but I do agree that it does make you callous, because I am a callous person when it comes to gore, horror, but I like it because it prepares me for situations like that I'm not gonna freeze in situations if it actually happened, because I'm so desensitized. I can't say that word. I'm that to horror and, you know, all that. I'm a tough guy and sensitive at the same time. But all right, that's been the Mad Critic Report. That was very interesting, and it's like Halloween, so I just want to spook it up on my channel. But okay, that's it. Peace.